these AI and robots are so good, they're just going to keep replacing me. What's even the point? What's the point? Why should I even try if AI and robots are just going to keep taking my job? I can't tell you how terrified I am of this new future where men lose their jobs, they're at home and they're stuck. They don't know what to do. It is coming like a freight train. Guys, it is time to break out of the cycle. You need to wake up.
For the people that aren't prepared for that, they should be terrified. But I think people that can take control of their own lives and their own trajectory, the choice is yours, man. You're going to get swept up or you're going to take charge of what's going on.
All right, guys, 55% of men between the ages of 30 to 45 years say they have experienced what's called a quarter life crisis. Guys, you're drifting. You're aimless. You might be having it all on paper. You might have a hot new Tesla, or you might be driving a Toyota Corolla. But regardless, 55% of you are struggling. And by the way, those numbers are going to get worse, much, much worse. Goldman Sachs estimates that as many as 300 million full-time jobs are going to be gone over the next several years. That's a problem. Pew Research Center, 19% of American workers are in jobs that are highly exposed to AI. In fact, just a couple weeks ago, an internal Amazon memo leaked that showed that they plan on implementing 600,000 robots that are going to replace American jobs. Guys, it is time to break out of the cycle. You need to wake up. And today we brought on the man, the myth, the legend, John Gafford, to explain to us some tried and true tips, some ABC steps to break the drift. John, welcome to the show.
Hey, man, so glad to be here, Mark.
Yeah, John, when I say those numbers to you, does that terrify you or does that get you excited?
Well, I mean, it can't get you excited, but I think, and terrified is a strong word. I think that all depends on your perspective. I think for the people that aren't prepared for that, they should be terrified. But I think, again, people that can take control of their own lives and their own trajectory, the choice is yours, man. You're going to get swept up or you're going to take charge of what's going on.
One of the things that I've seen commented frequently is this idea that, Mark, AI, robotics, big government, big corporate, AI and specifically is so good at everything. These AI and robots are so good, they're just going to keep replacing me. What's even the point? What's the point? Why should I even try if AI and robots are just going to keep taking my job?
Well, okay, so if you're a warehouse factory worker, yes, I totally agree with that. But one of the things that I preach to my kids all the time, like Gen Z kids, I've got 2 teenagers, and I say, listen, the one skill that you need to have that you can adopt that will protect you for the rest of your life and allow you to always make a living is the ability to look into another human being's eyes and connect one-on-one on a very deep level. If you can create a high EQ where you can connect with people, because most of kids their age are walking around like this with their cell phone in their face, they don't know how to connect with people. Because if you can do that, you'll always have a place in the world. When I look at what's going on with major corporations implementing AI, in most cases, they're eliminating their low-hanging jobs, which in a lot of cases are their most customer-facing jobs. The checkout counter at the grocery store, the customer service when you call. And the problem with that thought is, and a lot of companies are starting to realize this, is AI, the way that it's built, starts with logic and is trying to get to emotion. Whereas human beings start with emotion and we try to get logical. So there's this disconnect there that makes everything a little choppy. The easiest way I describe it is it's like watching Star Trek when Kirk is talking to Spock. They don't really sync up that well. And as time goes on, and AI will get better, I agree with that. But I think people are still going to get to a point where they want to deal with people. So having that ability to connect with people and really understand them at a core value and sell something is going to protect you in the long run.
So I actually like that concept, especially if you're, let's say, 40-year-old man, you're in an organization, you've been there, maybe you're in middle management. You've grown up in a unique time, right? Because you've grown up pre-digital, you grew up with maybe a typewriter, the Dewey Decimal System, and now everything is electronic. You probably remember popping a tape cassette into a radio, just waiting for your song to come on so you could record it.
Yeah, I do. That I do. And what's happened is people got to realize sooner than later that America's gone. And if you are living a life where the trajectory of your success is 100% dependent on the whims and ideas of others, you're going to have a real problem. If somebody else is deciding your future, if you're in a job, not great. Yeah, here's the deal. I'm not here hating on W-2 jobs. I'm not saying if you're in a W-2 job, you need to scramble out of it right now, but you also need to understand that that can be taken away by somebody else. So there should probably be part of your plan that has a trajectory outside of somebody else's decision-making. That's how you protect yourself.
And listen, this is something that I try to preach as regularly as possible. We need to have multiple streams of income, because if you're totally reliant on the problem that you're solving now to be the same problem that you're going to be solving in 2 to 5 years, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. The problems you're solving now are not going to be the problems you're solving in the near future. In fact, I was reading a report earlier today that showed that the half-life of technical skills is about 2.5 years.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I saw that. What was it? I think Meta just laid off 600, I think it was like 6,000 or 600,000, whatever. It was some massive number of AI engineers just got laid off from their massive push. So what you're starting to see is the best engineers within AI development are now being able to use AI to advance the development of AI. So not even that job is safe.
I mean, I look at it this way. And I would just encourage people to just be honest with yourself for a second. You don't need to put this in the comments. You don't need to DM me or John. Just look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself this. If I was a step away from my position for 6 months, would the company go on? Would the business keep rolling? And if the answer is yes, you got a problem. You're stuck.
Yeah.
Well, so how do you break out of that? And what are the steps to move forward? Because I got to be honest, trying to tell someone, hey, go learn to code, go learn how to be a robotics mechanic. I don't know that that's going to be possible for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think, well, that's why you're seeing a surge in the trades right now, especially. You're seeing a massive surge in HVAC and plumbing and those things, because robots not going to come to your house and fix your toilet. They're not going to come replace your HVAC, at least not yet. So that's why the trades and the physical things that have to be done by a human are really surging. But if I'm somebody that is in a W-2 job and I realize every day is like Groundhog Day, I realize that, yes, if I died tomorrow, they'd run it, yes, they'd be sad about it, but they'd run an ad in 2 days and somebody else would be in my chair and trained to do what I'm doing in 2 weeks, and life would move on. It's a little scary, but more to that, I think it's just a hollow existence. I think everybody on their own, on some level, I think splits into two groups. You either think that where you're at is all the world is ever going to give you. It's this myriad of systematic oppression, however it is, based on government or your gender or your creed or your color, or whatever it is. This is all that you can get. And people believe that are stuck. If that's what you believe, I'm not your guy. I can't help you. And then there's people that feel like, you know what, man, maybe I was made for a little more. Maybe I was built to have a little bit bigger voice and a little bit bigger presence in this universe. And if you've got that burning desire, the first step is to be really honest with where you are. And most people, by looking in the mirror, don't have the ability. They only see what feeds their ego. They're not looking for the warts. They're not looking for the problems in their own world that they need to address first, because you're never going to grow unless you really establish where you are today. And most people can't do that. So the first step is radical honesty about where you are in life and what your personal responsibility is in getting you to that place. Because a lot of people, like, for example, I know a very large real estate company, and people come to interview wanting to work for us. And I hear one of two different stories. I either hear, I haven't been doing enough, I need to be in a better environment, I need this, or I hear what their previous company didn't give them, what they didn't offer, what the company did. I don't hire any of those people, because if you have that mentality, you're going to bring it to mine. I'm looking for people with a radical level of self-accountability, because that's how you save yourself, because nobody's coming to save you. And as a matter of fact, now, like you said, the robots are coming to get you. It's even worse.
I think it's very easy, especially if you're in a large organization, to get stuck. And I'm actually running through this with some companies that I'm working with. There's a lot of people kind of hiding behind numbers. They're serving multiple tasks and multiple roles. And, without actually putting a core benchmark, I'll give you an example. I was working with a guy the other day who's going to be recording YouTube videos for an organization that I work with. YouTube, by the way, super hot now. It's great for showing up in search engines like ChatGPT. It's great for AEO. answer engine optimization, et cetera. So anyway, we put together a plan. I said, these are the videos I need you to record. And the goal here is that it will generate 30 leads within the first 60 days. He goes, oh, like, I can't do that. I'm just going to do something else. And instead of stepping up to the plate and working with me to develop the strategy of the videos, the formatting, the call to action, instead he went rogue. He created this huge spreadsheet of projects and videos and tutorials. And to this day, he's only recorded 3 videos. This is like 2 months ago.
What is it? There's that poster that says consulting. There's much more money in postponing a problem than fixing it. That's what consultants get paid for.
And honestly, it pisses me off because I'm getting hired to go into this organization and get results. And I don't want to be one of those guys who's making complaints and saying, hey, listen, I can't get you the result because employee A, B, or C is not willing to communicate or be accountable to anything. That's a personal problem that I'm having here. So when I work with an organization, I want to say, hey, how can I actually have an impact here? If I was a step away, how would that impact that org? And what are some actual KPIs that I can put against myself to make sure that I'm getting to a certain result that's aligned with the company's goals?
Well, 30 leads doesn't seem like a lot from a handful of videos. I mean, did you talk budget? I mean, I would have been like, what's the spend to it? What's the messaging? How are we going to split test this? And I mean, there's so many different ways. No, it's not, but there's so many different ways you could have gone at that. I mean, sometimes people prove very quickly they're not the right person to be in the seat that they're in. And that would have probably been a red flag for me.
Well, and listen, I'm not the person to go in and fire people. You mentioned that earlier that you never fired anyone, but to me, I think it kind of starts with the culture within an organization and with the people within the organization. And are you a cultural fit? Are you another interesting thing that I read a few weeks ago was something like 40% of employees had admitted to sabotaging AI implementation efforts within an organization.
Yeah.
Feeding bad data, bad prompts in order to intentionally make sure that the AI initiative was ineffective. Is that a good place to be? Is that how you escape the drift, by sabotaging organizations' AI efforts?
I think people work from a place of fear when they see that stuff coming. I mean, I think that's gone on as long as you've had employees. I mean, we've all seen it where you bring in a new employee that does something similar to somebody else, and you just want everybody cross-trained on different things. And all of a sudden, employee A that's been there for 3 years is freaking out because they think you hired employee B to replace them, when really you're just trying to make sure that your organization is covered across all boundaries by cross-training. So I don't think that's obviously that's something that's happening. I don't think that's a new behavior. I think that just comes from people that come from a place of fear. And again, when you don't have the perception that your self-value to an organization is high enough, you're not going to perform well. That's an individual person. I think that's not the company's fault. That's the individual of saying, I know in my heart that I'm not bringing enough value here. I know that I'm replaceable, which is again, that's scary. And how do you avoid that, right? If you're somebody that's listening to this that works at a company, you're an employee, you've got to constantly be striving forward. The best way to impress your boss is say like, hey, show me how to do what you're doing. I could take that off your plate. I can make this easier for you. I want to expand my duties. I want to do more. I've got what I'm doing. It's great. Continue to expand. In my companies, I'm unapologetic about this with every single one of our, maybe not the hourly people, but our management understands this to a T, which is my job as the owner of these multiple organizations is I have got to make sure that we are always searching for the best talent to sit in those seats. I am always trying to upgrade talent, always. Everybody's job is always on the table. Their job is to make it impossible for me to replace them. That's their responsibility. And as long as everybody's operating on that kind of level, everybody's always looking to level up and get better and become indispensable to the company. And that's not fear culture. That's driven success culture, in my opinion.
And I love that. And you obviously go into more detail on how to align all those values in your new book, Escaping the Drift. But one of the things that it kind of strikes me when you say that, hey, go to your boss, go to the other leaders and say, hey, I want to spearhead this initiative. This is how I'm going to do it. These are what the KPIs are. This is the game plan. These are the key checkpoints. This is where we'll be after 60 days is making sure that initiative aligns with your income, impact, and intention. Am I understanding that concept right from the book?
Yeah, you've got to be in alignment with your values. I mean, one of the things we talk about, like after radical honesty, is you've got to have a plan. Most of the people that are in the workforce, even entrepreneurs themselves that own their companies, have no plan. They're strictly just kind of flying by the seat of their pants, and they open the store, whatever it may be, and hopefully somebody's going to come in and buy widgets today. But there's no marketing plan. There's no KPIs, like you mentioned. There's no strategy. There's no goals. There's no North Star that's governing the why they're even doing this business or why they're doing this job. And if you don't have a really, really defined North Star, how do you know when you get off path? That's what causes the drift. Erwin McManus, who I love, was on my podcast not too long ago. And he said, I really love the concept of what you're doing, because when you're drifting, you're still moving. So you feel like you're making progress, but you just don't really realize where it's going. And it's probably, if you're not steering the ship, it's going to go off course.
Yeah, you need to have that North Star. So in your opinion, how important is it to have a mission, a vision, core values for your organization?
Oh, at an organization level, it's imperative, but they can't just be like something written on, it can't just be a catchphrase, right? So many companies, you can walk in and there's the poster in the lobby that says, here's our core values. But you ask literally the person sitting 10 feet from that poster, what are the core values of the company? And they go, I'm sorry, what? They have no idea, because people, it's trendy to do that. And for the purposes of our book, I'm not even talking about a company level. I'm talking about core values for yourself. Like, what's important to you? What are your core values? Because it's far more important what you value as a human being. And then you find a company that's in line with your core values, right? Because I don't care if I'm going to work somewhere, I don't care what their core values are if I don't know what mine are. Because what difference does it make, right? Oh, I'll just do this. And then all of a sudden, man, it doesn't work. And I'll tell you a great thing that I heard. I think it was Robert Glazer told me this maybe on the podcast, who's great. But he said, the inverse of core values is more important. And I said, well, okay, what does that mean? Tell me about that. And he goes, well, when you talk about a core value, describe the inverse of that. And if that doesn't make you really like cringe, like, oh, just grunt, like nails on a chalkboard, if you don't get that emotion from it, then your core value is not real.
That's interesting.
So if like somebody writes on the board, like, our integrity in all things. And if you write, well, what's the opposite of that? It's like, well, it's okay sometimes to bend the truth and lie. If you're like, well, maybe that's okay, then that's not really one of your core values, because the inverse doesn't, to your soul, like, upset you. Like I said, and what's funny, because I was late for this podcast today from a scheduling thing, which is ironic, because he asked me, he says, like, what's something that absolutely drives you insane, like to your core? I'm like, people that are late drives me insane, because it shows such a complete disregard for the value of other people's time, right? And he said, okay, then one of your core values probably is we value time. And I said, that's absolutely probably true. That is one of my personal core values, is respect and value time. So looking at it that way, I think, again, you've got to establish what's important to you before you worry about what's important to your company, if it's yours or something else.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it's very easy to get caught up in just chat GPTing your mission and vision core value statement. Along those lines, I'm kind of curious. I by the way, I like that core value of we're on time, for example, or like we're timely, we respect other people's time. I think that's a good one, because that's one of my pet peeves too. I heard something the other day that just blew my socks off. It said, what you accept is what you can expect.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, you can't just go laying off everyone because they make a mistake, right? On the flip side, if you keep accepting it, you're going to expect more of that. So how do you balance that?
Well, sometimes you've got to rip it. Sometimes you have to burn it down, is the truth of it. Because in business, your standard is everything, and it bleeds into everybody. You cannot isolate a weak standard. Like if you have one person that gets away with murder, that is going to bleed into the culture across the board. And I also say never waste a crisis, right? So when you have someone that is not meeting the standard, that is not excelling, and you let them go, you be very honest with everybody else as to why that happened, because they didn't meet the standard. And then everybody else goes, oh, we're serious about that. That's for real. We've got to do that. And especially when you get to a point when you're COO and you have other people that are representing you in the marketplace, even if you're just hiring an employee, like for example, Yesterday, I had an agent that works here. There was an agent that came to interview for our company. We're the largest luxury real estate brokerage in Las Vegas. And an agent came in and they did not present in a way that I would hire them to the company. But they had been referred to the company and they didn't have the experience really either to work here. We only hire experienced agents. But they were referred to the company by somebody else that was excited and had just joined us. And this person did check all those boxes. So she called me and said, I think I want to start a team. And I already knew where it was going because this person said she didn't have the qualification. We told her you'd have to be on a team to be here, but I figured probably none of the teams were going to hire her. So she started going through and I said, okay, I love that you want to start a team. I love that you want to do this. And then we walked through all the reasons why you would start a real estate team. And she checked every box saying the right things of why she was in it. And the last thing I knew we got to, I said, okay, she goes, I want to hire this person. And because she's had a 5-year relationship friendly with her. And I said, okay, let me ask you one more question. Forget that you've known this person for 5 years. Based strictly on how they present when they walk through the door, would you hire them day one and send them out with your best client? And she said, no. I said, you can't hire her. I said, you can mentor her from afar, but you cannot let somebody that would not present the way that you want and hold your standard walk around with a business card with your name on it, because that is you in the marketplace. So you've got to hold standards.
I mean, it also impacts everyone else in the organization too.
Everybody.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's a tough conundrum to kind of work through because good help is hard to find. And I do think that, to your point, if you want to be an employee, if you want to go work for someone, if you can align that income, impact, and intention along with that organization's guidelines, it makes you invaluable. Because the other problem that I'm seeing in the market now is people can't find jobs. Companies are, I was looking at someone the other day who had sent out 100 job applications to get one interview. Companies are using AI to process applications. And then the people that are looking for jobs are sending in, are using AI agents to apply for hundreds of jobs.
Okay.
So all this.
Okay. Perfect what you just said. Because what did we just talk about? What is the skill set that is going to protect you from the robots? It's the ability to connect with another human being one-on-one. So if I sent out 100 resumes and I got one interview, I would not send out another resume. I would say, what is the industry where I want to work, right? Where do the people that work in this industry hang out? Where do they go? Ari Rastegar, a friend of mine in Austin, they call him the Oracle of Austin, tells a story of when he first got into investment banking, he knew nobody. So what he did was he went to a bar where he found where all the investment bankers hung out in Manhattan. And essentially he would go in there and just tip the bartender $100 to introduce him to everybody that they knew. So when people come in at the bar, he'd be like, oh, hey, do you guys know Ari? He's great. And these bartenders always know Joe because they hung out there. And that's how he got ahead in that business, because he went to where people were and actually tried to get his hand shaken. And so, yes, I'm going to hire an AI bot to send off 100 resumes to an AI recruiter. That's not, where are you in that scenario? Like, if you have a real problem and you are trying to solve it, especially when it comes to yourself, I promise you, easy is almost never the right road. And pushing a button that hammers out 100 things are easy. Dude, you have this great podcast, right? I don't know if you see them or if you have somebody filter them for you, but how many requests do you get every day to be on your podcast? Like,
probably
it's a C.
12, half dozen to a dozen.
Right, but it's a C. And now they're all AI written. Like, oh, I listened to your episode about so-and-so and was really moved because, and like, bro, you didn't take this, right? The people that I actually bring on my podcast are the ones that hit me up like directly on Instagram. And they're like, hey, I got a cool story to tell. Here it is. I think your show's cool. Let me know if we're interested. And then I'm like, okay, this is a real person. I'm going to have a conversation with them, not going through my staff and the filter process, but real people that actually connect with me. And I look at their stuff. I go, this seems like a cool person. I'd like to know. That's how that works for me. So yeah.
By the way, the referrals in that same article I was citing, those referrals increase your chance of getting an interview 4 times. You're actually getting hired by 4x. You're 4 times more likely to get that job if you get referred by someone, which,
yeah.
I mean, and a lot of people get, I think honestly, I think a lot of people are terrified of this AI and robots dilemma. Frankly, I think it's worthwhile. Elon Musk just a day ago on X posted that in the future, humans won't need to do jobs at all. It's all going to be AI and robotics, which to me sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Sounds terrible.
It's some Black Mirror dystopian nightmare that we're all going to be living in on government cheese while the robots all take care of us in our pod. I always think it's going to be like the movie WALL-E, where we're like all super fat, just rolling around with a screen in front of us. It's terrifying.
It's close. We're close. By the way, I mean, we're getting off a little bit of a side, but if you feel stuck, if someone feels stuck in their job, if they feel like they are in a drift right now, they're just kind of coasting along, they're kind of worried and concerned about these other things that are happening. How important is physical health and exercise to escaping that drift?
Oh, dude, you got to get moving. And I mean, yes, I don't know if you're a cold plunger. I'm not a cold plunger. I've tried it. So I'm not a lunatic that way, but I do have a very serious morning routine where I get up. I believe in circadian rhythms. I want to get outside as soon as possible. I'm in the gym for an hour and a half before in the morning. I mean, I have my time that I do to myself. I take, because my wife wants me to live forever, apparently. So I take more supplements than you've ever seen, but no medicine. And yeah, it's imperative because, you know, everything you put in your body, everything matters. You know, getting the blood moving, getting that, having that stress reduction is so important to being able to think clearly. And it's not just what you put in your mouth though, but it's also what you put in your head. Like so many people want to jump in online and go down these echo chambers of just misery, which is, you know, probably why the country's become so divided. But, you know, think about what goes in your mouth, but also think about what goes in your head.
Yeah, 100%. But, you know, if someone asked me for my advice, you know, on the first thing I do is say, you got to lift heavy stuff, man. Like, listen, dude, you got to lift heavy stuff. I don't know what else to tell you. If you feel like you're stuck, just start with lifting heavy stuff. It's shocking what that does. In fact, you know, one of my favorite moments of the week is going to my kids' soccer games on Friday nights, taking off my shoes and just putting my feet in the grass, bare feet in the grass. Yeah, unbelievable. Grounding.
Yeah, you just ground, you become that. My wife's a huge grounder too. We have a grounding mat on our bed. But yeah, we have a house in Newport Beach and there's nothing better than just getting there and I don't care what time of year it is, just get my feet in the sand. That's it. Just get my feet in the sand.
So here's another thought that I have for you guys. We only have John for a couple more minutes. Make sure you check out his website, thejohngafford.com, thejohngafford.com. You can get his newest book that's out. It's basically giving you the playbook to escaping the drift and really having an income, impact, and intention that matters. Because, man, I can't tell you how terrified I am of this new future where men lose their jobs, they're at home and they're stuck. They don't know what to do. It is coming like a freight train. Even for business owners too, man. The problems that you're solving now are not going to be the problems you're solving in 5 years. I just think about all these marketing experts who are trying to rank on Google, but now like almost 10% of searches are happening on ChatGPT.
It's all chat. Yeah, all of our SEO has moved to optimizing for ChatGPT, all of it.
Okay. So that's interesting. How are you doing that? Because I've been diving deep into this.
So yeah, no, I mean, look, we have a plan. So obviously I don't personally do my SEO stuff, but I have a guy and I saw it very quickly because it was funny. I just randomly said, who are the best luxury real estate agents in Vegas? And we popped to ChatGPT and we popped up and I was like, okay, cool. So I'm already there. How do I maintain that? How do we keep pushing that forward? And yeah, they're constantly just doing whatever they're doing, but every time I ask it, we're still there. So,
well, I'll lock this in because I have been diving deep into this. I think it's fascinating. First, you do all the traditional SEO stuff. Second, you want to make sure you get citations and references from respected sources. So if you have any affiliates, partners, get them to link to your stuff. YouTube, very powerful. So make sure you're pumping out content on YouTube. And then the third one here, John, I found rather surprising, is Reddit. You need to be asking questions and answering questions and referencing your company on Reddit.
Yeah, because you know what? When you see it think sometimes you will see Reddit pop up as one of the thought processes, which is good.
It pops up a lot. So it's a different age. I'm not going to give away. Oh, the other thing that you can do and you can take the bank is just go to your web developer. Guys, if you're listening, just go to your web developer and just make sure that your site is crawlable by LLM bots, because some websites, they say, we don't want it. We don't want you crawling our website. You block it, you have zero chance of showing up. So that's a quick one.
Well, I know one of the things for sure that they did, because they asked me if they could go in and do it when they messed with our sites. They said, we need keyword dense pages within the site that are exactly what people are searching for. Not even content. They wanted pages where the URL of the page was exactly what chat would be looking for. So that's, we built those out as well, which I thought was pretty slick.
And you want to set it up in a question and answer format. So, for example, if someone said, where is the nicest community in Las Vegas? Oh, well, these are the 10 nicest communities in Las Vegas. But the name of that page, John Gafford's luxury real estate is the best place to go.
Yeah. And the name of that page would be the nicest communities in Las Vegas would be the name of, that would be the URL of the page.
Exactly. And then obviously you need to, take your theory, you need to test it. Don't just chat GPT and put up a bunch of blogs. I could really geek out on this because, and again, this is kind of my way of reinventing myself and breaking the drift. Okay. Yeah. Because I have skill sets, good with YouTube, podcasting, been in the social media game a minute. I'm comfortable with SEO, with UTM parameters, traffic conversions, all this stuff. Right. But we've got a new thing here. It's called AEO, and it's ranking on these AI chatbots. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, people don't really need these other solutions anymore because you can just use Riverside to create clips and create transcripts and create blogs. But what my clients do want is to show up when someone goes in ChatGPT and asks, where's the best pest control in Las Vegas, for example.
Yeah, that's important. You're going to see more and more search going there. And I think Google got so far behind the 8 ball with Gemini. I think it's almost too late. I think the tipping point has moved to chat so far that so many people are using it now. It's going to be hard to win that back.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll definitely see. But, again, I just kind of bring this around to kind of escaping the drift, in a changing market. I think it's good, and you might agree or disagree, but I don't want to the advice I don't want to give someone is, hey, you've been in a warehouse for a while, just go out and learn how to become a robot mechanic. Like, that's a pretty big jump. But what I would say is take the skill sets, take the relationships that you have, and factor in how that can stack on top of some of the new skills that are becoming more relevant, right?
Well, I think in the new economy, and look, drop shipping and all that stuff, I think has kind of become passé and is maybe lost it. But there's money to be made online. There's absolutely money to be made online, and every single person out there has some sort of a skill set or some sort of a speciality where they can do this. I still believe, even though some of the big boys have gotten a little bit of trouble lately, I still think there's money to be made for everybody in course creation online and education online. I still think that's there. Very specialty niche stuff. I think there's a lot of things you can do. You just have to find something, again, it goes back to the radical honesty part of my book and building that plan and doing that, where you figure out what your unique value is to the world. Like you said, go out and become a robot mechanic. Well, what if somebody already knows they're elite when it comes to working on old cars because that's their hobby? What if somebody works at, Sam's Club, but they're an amazing guitarist? Well, why aren't you teaching guitar online? Why don't you have a course for that? It's a new innovative way you come up to teach kids guitar, and you don't have to sell it for that much. And there's so many things out there that are set up to do it for you. I mean, you can set up these sites on, Kajabi and Go High Level and all these different places where you can build these things really easily, and you don't have to know a whole lot about how to do it. But you've got to find something that's yours. I mean, for me, the easiest thing in the world, what I tell everybody is, if you don't understand how to invest in real estate, you need to learn to do that right now. There are so many ways that you can buy real estate with no money. I mean, subject to, and it's everywhere online. YouTube, like you said, is so valuable. It is the new world's university. There is no skill you cannot learn on YouTube outside of like brain surgery and stuff like that. Let's be honest. But if you want to learn how to invest in real estate, there's a million places. Like my friend Pace Morby, probably the best guy anywhere when it comes to subject to, which is buying houses with no money. Go watch his stuff, right? But nobody's going to come do it for you. Nobody's going to come knock on your door and say, hey, I want to teach you how to do this. You've got to take control of your stuff and go out and find this stuff. You've got to find the passion in yourself, something ignites you want to learn about, and then you've got to go out and seek the solution because nobody's coming to give it to you.
Well said. Well said. Boys and girls, we've just completed John Gafford's Escaping the Drift Playbook. Go grab the book at thejohngafford.com because, look, I believe in you. And if you're just drifting, there is a tsunami coming. But I strongly believe, I've experienced this firsthand. I left my soul-sucking day job about 8 years ago. You can align income, impact, and intention. You can be part of that 51% equation, which we didn't get into in this episode. You got to get the book for the 51%, but you can shift from operator to designer of your life. I believe that. John believes that. There's something better for you out there. John, thanks for joining the show. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I would just say this. The time is now. If somebody asked me yesterday on a podcast what motto I live by, and that motto is memento mori. I've got a thing that hangs around my neck. It says memento mori, reminds us that we all too will die. And as you start to get a little bit older, you're in those Facebook groups online and your high school friends, and you start to see, oh, so-and-so died, and there's no candlelight vigil anymore. It's just like, yeah, that dude didn't look like he took care of himself. We never know how much time we have on this earth. So why live today in a life that's being designed by somebody else for you? Take control and do it today. The time is now.
Do it. I love that. And by the way, your wife and kids, they need you to do it. They need you.
Yeah, they do.
It is not acceptable, in my opinion, to abscond from your responsibility to your family and drink booze, watch Netflix, and go to Disney World. You got to step it up. It's coming. It's coming. So anyway, I'm not going to depress people. Let's leave it on a high note and to go achieve those dreams. John, thanks for joining the show here today, brother.
Mark, thanks, man. I appreciate it.